आर्टिकल का टाइटल था लेस्टर एंड द अनरावलिंग ऑफ मल्टीकल्चरलिज्म. ठीक है. This was written by Brendan O'Neill. He's the chief political writer for Spike.
I've read more stuff by him. Yeah.
Yeah. So उसमें यहाँ पे उसने लिखा था, कहाँ गया था वही, कहाँ गया उसने हिंदू कम्युनिटी का कहाँ लिखा था इसमें. So ये इसको बेसिकली क्या है, those startled that Leicester has been rocked by communal tensions are naive, but it's a model multicultural city, they say. Yes, that's a problem. Multicultural sowed the seeds of today's violent grief. Community tensions are hardly new in multicultural Britain. From the Oldham riots of 2001 to the recent grooming gang scandals, community tensions have been simmering and sometimes blowing up for years. Even in model Leicester, things were far from happy and peaceful. As the Leicester Mercury says, even before that now famous infamous cricket match, tensions had been rising between different minority communities for some time. Pinning the blame for Leicester's woes on newly arrived Indians is cynical and ignorant. It smacks of the kind of immigrant bashing that liberals would normally be opposed to. Actually, we need to talk about India bashing specifically. Another disturbing aspect of Leicester has been some people's attempt to put the blame entirely on the Indian heritage community, to say it's all down to people with Hindu nationalist views. A writer for Middle East Eye says Muslims are primarily the victims here. He compares the Hindutva-inspired march of around 200 men, mostly in baklavas, to the racist actions of the English Defence League. The identitarian set is always painting the Muslim community as blameless. There is, ironically, a powerful streak of racial infantilization in such Islam-absolving narratives. The idea that Muslims are the cause of every problem in the UK is, of course, deeply bigoted, but so is the idea that they are never to blame for anything, that they are always just the wide-eyed, innocent, caught up in things. Now, I want to talk about this larger point being made that multiculturalism has failed. I disagree. It's not multiculturalism that has failed. Islamism is the problem.
Yes.
Everywhere where you see the failure of multiculturalism, can you show me one example outside of the Islamists? One. Or Islamist mindsets. I'll tell you, I know in the so-called brown community, only two people are a classic example of multiculturalism and its failures. Primarily the Islamists. I'm not saying Muslims, I'm saying Islamists. Secondary, Khalistanis. These two are the obvious example of multiculturalism failing. But is multiculturalism only about the behavioral patterns of brown people? What about the soccer hooligans? Are they a success of multiculturalism?
No, and what about the fucking Russian mafia in the US?
What about the Protestant versus Catholic riots that happened in this very nation that Nigel Farage lives in? What about that? Is that a success of multiculturalism?
अरे bomb blast हो रहे थे. You remember how was Mountbatten killed? There was a bloody bomb that went off under Margaret Thatcher during the Conservative convention in 81 or 82 or something like that. Na? वो क्या था? So understand, this is a fundamental failure of Hindus to teach Englishmen, basically all white countries, about Hinduism on the first place and about issues in India in general. Because all the interlocutors of India in the West are the Rana Ayub types.
Mataji वापस आ गई.
But what I do want to say is that's a very good point. And everywhere in the West, particularly in the US, jahan mera thoda experience hai, Indians are bending over backwards to make sure that they can get lumped in together with the Khalistanis and the Muslims. They want to say ki we're part of this group. Please don't separate us from this group. Whenever they want to say, "Arey, Indians are this, Indians are that," they say, no. Don't talk about Indians. Talk about South Asians. We're all South Asians. We're all together. We're all this. So when you get lumped in with the extremist elements, what the fuck are you complaining about?
And
what the fuck are you complaining about?
It's such a beautiful point you've made, Shyam, but can I also add to one more obsession of the Indian mind over here, is that they want to be lumped with them is because they have successfully played the victim narrative, and Indians want to play the victim narrative too. And it's so seductive that they want to go there. That's point number one. But the larger issue with the Indian community over here is they have no political consciousness. They don't, outside of the British Hindus, please, my British Hindu friends, I'm not talking about you. You're the
British
exception.
Hindus are the real Chads outside of India. I'll give them that.
You are the exception, not the norm. I have seen enough of North American Hindus, Aussie Hindus.
No American Hindu has the balls to take out a Jai Shri Ram march anywhere in America.
And listen to what Alpesh Patel said. He's like, oh, so if they have a problem with Jai Shri Ram, they basically have a problem with me being Hindu. He did not flinch a second to say that.
Yeah, he's 100% right.
And by the way, I agree with that. So Jai Shri Ram.
Jai Shri Ram.
Jai Shri Ram.
Yes. So we will all गाड़ मराओ सबके सब. साले जय श्री राम नहीं बोल सकते अभी हम लोग. साले कुत्ते के बच्चे. दूसरा,
अयोध्या तो बस झांकी है, काशी मथुरा बाकी है. मिलके बोलो एक जबान, हिंदी हिंदू हिंदुस्तान.
शारदा पीठ बाकी है बेटा, अभी रुको.
शारदा पीठ भी बाकी है.
शारदा पीठ भी बाकी है. तो ये, और दूसरा, आई थिंक जहां पे एक और लार्जर इश्यू के बारे में हमें चर्चा करनी चाहिए, वो है कॉम्प्लीमेंटैरिटी की. आई थिंक पहले कैसा होता था कि जो डायस्पोरा हिंदूज होते थे, क्योंकि इंडिया बहुत गरीब था और पॉलिटिकली हिंदुत्व पावरफुल नहीं हुआ, तो मैं सीधा बात कर रहा हूं, मेरे को गोल गोल बातें करनी आती नहीं है जलेबी वाली, तो वो थोड़ा रिलेशनशिप थोड़ा लॉपसाइडेड था. एनआरआई हिंदूज हमेशा आते थे और हमको बताते थे कि देखो हम कितने अमीर हैं, हमारा बिल्डिंग्स कितना अच्छा है, हमारा देश कितना अच्छा है. अभी क्या हो गया कि इंडिया थोड़ा स्ट्रांग हो गया. तो अभी इंडिया स्ट्रांग होने की वजह से एक नई रियलिटी आने वाली है. सी, इवेंचुअली द वेस्ट लाइक्ड अ पुअर इंडिया हु दे कुड फैंटेसाइज एंड इनफैंटिलाइज. नाउ द वेस्ट हैज टू डील विद अ न्यू इंडिया. ये वाला जो है ना, ये कुत्ता भौंकता नहीं है, ये काटता भी है. ये काटेगा. ये अभी रशिया वाले केस में हमने नहीं सुना ना वेस्ट को, तो इनको समझ नहीं पड़ रहा है हमारे साथ क्या करें. इनको समझ में नहीं आ रहा है. तो ये जो नई रियलिटी प्ले हो रही है ना, सो दीज आर पार्ट ऑफ वेस्टर्न फॉरेन पॉलिसी गेम्स वेयर दे विल यूज प्लेयर्स टू नरेट देम. और अगर याद होगा, इसी पॉडकास्ट पे मैंने, अभिजीत और श्याम ने कम से कम 3 साल पहले ये बात बोली थी, या 2 साल पहले, कि ये जो कर रहे हैं ये इवेंचुअली डायस्पोरा को भारी पड़ेगा और डायस्पोरा में रेसिस्ट अटैक्स होंगे. मगर किसने सोचा था श्याम, लास्ट 1 साल के अटैक्स का तू डिस्प्रोपोर्शनेटली अगर रेस बेस्ड एनालिसिस करेगा कि अपने ही लोग अपने को मारेंगे. कौन सा गोरा मार रहा है हमको? गोरा तो नहीं, गोरा कुछ भी नहीं कर रहा. न्यूयॉर्क तो इंटरेस्ट ही नहीं है. न्यूयॉर्क में मंदिर के ऊपर अटैक हुआ. न्यूयॉर्क में मंदिर के ऊपर अटैक हुआ, वो कौन निकला? खालिस्तानी. फ्रीमॉन्ट में टाको बेल में अटैक हुआ, वो कौन निकला? खालिस्तानी. बैप्स में अटैक हुआ टोरंटो में, वो कौन निकला? खालिस्तानी. अभी ये लेस्टर में हुआ, वो कौन निकले? ब्राउन मुसलमान. अरे यार, सब तो हमारे लोग हैं ना, भले पाकिस्तानी है, साले ओरिजिनल स्टॉक तो हमारा ही है. हमारे सबसे बड़े दुश्मन हमारे देश के बाहर हमारे अपने लोग हो गए हैं. और ये इसका कारण है डायस्पोरा का फेलियर. क्योंकि जो तूने ओरिजिनल पॉइंट बोला, वो जो वर्चुअल ब्लो जॉब्स देते रहते हैं जाके इन लोगों को कि नहीं हम भाई भाई भाई. देखो भाई, सिंपल सी बात है,
ये भाई में भाई हो गया.
सिंपल बात है. मैं हमेशा से कहता आया हूं, मेरे मुसलमान दोस्त हैं और मेरे सरदार दोस्त हैं और मेरे हमेशा रहेंगे. मगर पॉइंट ये है कि हम खालिस्तान और इस्लामिज्म को क्यों नहीं क्रिटिसाइज कर पाते इफेक्टिवली. ये हमारा फेलियर है, उनका नहीं है. हम क्यों नहीं बताते कि खालिस्तान इज द, इफ देयर इज कास्टिज्म इन नॉर्थ अमेरिका and in the Western world, it is in the form of Khalistan. That is the only active casteist supremacist movement in the Western world today that is literally based on castists. Why are we not talking about it? There is और हम इंडियन हिंदूज जो इंडिया में रहते हैं, अभी टेक्निकली मैं सिर्फ अभिजीत है इस समय इंडिया में, मगर मैं भी इंडिया में ही रहता हूं. मगर हम इंडियन हिंदूज को भी समझना पड़ेगा कि भाई हमारी हरकतों को भी हम थोड़ा टोन डाउन कर दें. हम why are we creating problems for Western Hindus और Hindus outside the India? हमारी जो हरकतें हैं, हम कैसे बात करते हैं, हम किससे बात करते हैं, हम किस तरीके से बात करते हैं, हमको सोच समझ के करना चाहिए ना. और सिमिलरली एनआरआई हिंदूज, ये जो कास्ट का डिस्कोर्स लगा के रखा हुआ है, इट इज अ ब्रिटिश कॉन्स्ट्रक्ट, इट इज अ ब्रिटिश कॉन्स्ट्रक्ट. भाई इंडिया को क्यों डैमेज कर रहे हो? इट इज नॉट अ ब्रिटिश कॉन्स्ट्रक्ट. इंडिया में आके रहो, तुमको पता चलेगा कौन सा कॉन्स्ट्रक्ट है वो. तो ये जो कॉम्प्लीमेंटैरिटी है ना, देयर इज नो कम्युनिकेशन बिटवीन अस. और देखो, ये नया रिलेशन है श्याम, जिसमें पहले डायस्पोरा हिंदू का अपर हैंड था, अभी मैं आई डोंट नो हाउ टू से इट, आई एम नॉट सेइंग दिस इन अ सुप्रेमेसिस्ट वे, बट अब इंडियन हिंदू का अपर हैंड है. इंडिया इज द मेन प्लेयर नाउ, and the responsibility is on each and every Indian Hindu to make sure their actions do not cause troubles for the diaspora Hindus. That is our moral responsibilities as a global Hindu community, which we are failing at, in my view.
Can you please explain how we're failing? एक बार जरा दोबारा बताना.
यार अभी क्या बोले, किस समय पे किसके साथ कहां बात करनी चाहिए हमको पता नहीं आज. ठीक है, अब तू ट्विटर पे चले जा, कोई भी वेस्टर्न कमेंटेटर कुछ भी कमेंट मारेगा, कोई भी वेस्टर्न कमेंटेटर कुछ भी कमेंट मारेगा, उसके नीचे के है ना तू कमेंट्स पढ़, अगर 100 कमेंट होंगे ना, 10 इंटेलिजेंट होंगे और 90 ऐसे टट्टी छाप कमेंट होंगे ना, उसकी पूरी माँ बहन बाप भाई पेल देते हैं. उसकी सारी माँ बहन बाप भाई पेल देते हैं.
The first problem we have in this country is that just as ignorant as they are of us, that our outreach to the Anglophone and to white people in general seems to have failed. Why? Because humanities education in India is so shit, and the humanities are completely dominated by the left and by their narratives. और राइट विंग लोग इस देश में इतने चूतिए होते हैं, कुछ पढ़ते नहीं है साले. ठीक है ना, साले कुछ भी पढ़ते नहीं है. No, but it's the truth. Let's be clear about it.
Yeah.
Let's be clear about it. Left wing पढ़े लिखे चूतिए होते हैं, right wing अनपढ़ गवार चूतिए होते हैं.
Yeah.
That's well said. This is number one. So, first of all, these people just refuse to read humanities. They refuse to understand the first principles where humanities comes from. They still don't understand how to learn leftist arguments and then use it against them. This is number one. This is why we fail spectacularly in all these things. फिर है हमारा चूतिया फॉरेन सर्विस, जो हमेशा कैसे बिजनेस क्लास का टिकट अपग्रेड कराने में लगाते रहता है, और उनका रिटायरमेंट जॉब. You know, our ambassadors to UK and the US, the last 5-6 iterations of them have only been lagaofying on how to get a post-retirement fellowship. ठीक है. एंड सो ये सब ये जो हमारी जो गायत्री थी यूके में, शी वाज गोइंग सपोर्टिंग JLF. शी वाज co-branding Jaipur Lit Fest with the British with the Indian High Commission in the UK.
Yeah.
ठीक है. So you also have the problem of an extremely weak foreign service. So your intelligence collection is so bad, your research is so bad, as it is your humanities is shit. Jab 80,000 rupees is the budget for a PhD student per year in JNU, which is apparently your finest humanities university. तुम कैसे UK में, अगर तुम UK politics पे PhD कर रहे हो, तुम कैसे बैठ के 80,000 rupees per month per year पे करोगे बॉस? 80,000 पे तो तुमको टिकट भी नहीं मिलेगा शायद. आजकल इकोनॉमी क्लास टिकट रिटर्न टू टोरंटो मेरे स्क्रीन में दिखाई दे रहा है, 1,30,000 फॉर इकोनॉमी क्लास, रॉक बॉटम फेयर, दिस थिंग 1 लाख.
बहुत महंगा है, बहुत महंगा है,
बहुत महंगा है. So you are not focusing on this at all, which is why your outreach is bad. And even within India, जो नलिन मेहता ने वो गील वर्निये और क्रिस्टोफ जाफ्रेलो का जो अशोका यूनिवर्सिटी सेंटर फॉर प्रोपेगेंडा है, they call it the Center for Statistics, उसकी माँ बहन करके रख दी थी. Have you seen a single academic review or an academic or the university accreditation body within the government even looking at their accreditation again, despite knowing for a fact that the good for nothings Gilles and Christophe are spreading venom among students in Ashoka? Why should they even be recognized? Why should their degrees even be recognized in the first place? They should have been de-recognized, and they should have been made to apologize for their miscategorization, which they've refused to do. Right? So first, let's look within ourselves. Number one. Number two, let us also recognize कि जो British Hindu हैं, वो हिंदुस्तानी हिंदुओं की तरह चूतिए नहीं हैं. They have invested in themselves pretty well. They are the best equipped of all the Hindus in the West to deal with this, which is why they realized that they were not a way of they weren't in a position to electorally inflict a defeat on Labour because their numbers aren't big enough. When Labour was going super anti-Hindu and pro-Pakistani and pro-Jihadi under Jeremy Corbyn, so what they did was they used what they're very good at, money. and they denied Labour funding, and they shifted all their funding to the Tories. Right?
Yeah.
So they have actually, unlike American Hindus and Canadian Hindus, or I don't know, German or French Hindus or whatever, have shifted. French Hindus are the safest because, see, they don't have to deal with a government that is in the throes of wokeism and is in fact extremely anti-woke. Left or right, they're extremely anti-woke. It doesn't matter which side of the political spectrum in France you are. So British Hindus' template is something we need to learn. But even there, British Hindus have failed to educate the political class on the realities of India, etc., etc., etc. The third is this notion. Now, remember, Sikhs and Hindus for a long time used to live together, right? Which was, they identified themselves as Hindus. So it was two things: Master Tara Singh on that side and Dayanand Saraswati and the Arya Samaj on this side, that kind of slowly exacerbated that split. And now I think it's irreconcilable differences right now. Divorce through irreconcilable differences. But Muslims and Hindus never actually lived together. This Ganga Jamuni Tehzeeb is complete nonsense because they lived in ghettoized communities of each other. They did not live amongst each other.
Yeah.
They lived besides each other in ghettos, but never mixing with each other except in the elites. And here is the problem. ये argumentative Indians में मैंने ये किया था. First, they called me for a discussion with these historians on Ganga Jamuni Tehzeeb. All those fucking so-called historians who are so this thing about themselves, they said, no, we don't want a debate. They only wanted a self-referential circle jerk. So जैसे जापानीज पॉर्न में बुकाके होता है ना, बुकाके सर्कल्स, तो वो चूतिया साले बुकाके सर्कल करना चाहते थे, and they did बुकाके. ठीक है, you go watch that video गंगा जमुनी तहजीब पे, argumentative Indians पे, it will show you बुकाके. And so the organizer there was very apologetic and he called me for a rebuttal, and the poor guys, the audience started jumping on him because he was just presenting their point of view to me. Okay, and the thing was, all their examples were Hindus bending over backwards to accommodate Islamic sentiments, and nothing of Muslims bending over even an inch to accommodate Hindu sentiment. Except that somehow using Krishna in a poem or Radha in a poem indicates syncretism. Okay, or using an inverted lotus atop the Taj Mahal indicates syncretism. ऐसे चूतिए जैसे arguments वो historian के बुका के cycle ने दे रखा था. So there are all these narratives that you need to sit down and explain to the West. Take a simple example. Your so-called extreme right in America that everybody hates, Tucker Carlson or Ben Shapiro. Who are their go-tos on India? It is still Ramchandra Guha and co. Else would Tucker Carlson have said what he said? Sure, you can separate till 1857 East India Company rule and then the British after that. Okay, but tell me, if you go through the documentation of Sati, because he brought up Sati, so I'm bringing it up. You read Meenakshi Jain's book, which is the only book that has documented all the cases of Sati. Total over a 2,000-year period, you're looking about 3,000 cases of Sati. Now, under British rule, every 10 years, you had a famine that would kill off between 13 to 14 to a minimum of 1.5 to 3 million people. So even that, now 3,000 satis over a 2,000-year period is what? Approximately 1.5 satis per year or less, 1.25 satis per year. You're still, what is this cost calculus? 2 million people dying of famine every 10 years justifies coming and abolishing sati, is it? Right?
Exactly.
So, but see again, what is the point in blaming them? They all, everyone, Australia, America, are so obsessed with the Queen and they seem to know British politics intrinsically. Why are they so unconcerned about and so completely unknowledgeable about Indian politics and who their allies and who their enemies in India are? We have to blame ourselves.
Yeah,
Look within ourselves.
That's the point, because I've seen a few comments जो बोल रहे हैं कि यार तुम लोग